Frank the farmer had a nagging wife that just made his life miserable. The only real peace he got was when he was out in the field plowing. One day, while in the field, Frank's wife brought him his lunch. Then, while he quietly ate, she berated him with a constant stream of nagging and complaining. Suddenly, Frank's old donkey kicked up his back legs and struck her in the head, killing her instantly. At the funeral, the priest noticed that when the women offered their sympathy, Frank would nod his head up and down. But when the men came up and spoke quietly to him, he would shake his head from side to side. After the mourners left, the priest approached Frank and asked, "Why did you nod your head up and down to all the women and shake from side to all the men?" Well, Frank replied,
"The women all said how nice she looked and her dress was so pretty. So I agreed by nodding my head up and down. While all the men asked, 'Is that donkey for sale?'"
A woman was sure that her husband was cheating on her by having an affair with the maid, so she laid down a trap. One evening, she sent the maid home for the weekend and didn't tell her husband. That night, when they went to bed, the husband gave the same old story.
"Excuse me, my dear, my stomach aches."
He then went into the bathroom. The wife promptly ran down the hall, got into the maid's bed, and switched the lights off. Soon, she heard footsteps, then felt him get into bed with her. After some passionate lovemaking, she said suddenly,
"I bet you didn't expect to find me in this bed, did you?"
Then she switched the lights on.
"No, ma'am,"
said the gardener. 3 men die together and are sent to hell. Satan decides to punish each of them based on their sins. They all must spend 80 years locked in a room with the guilty pleasures they had in life. The alcoholic will have all the booze he can drink. The sex addict will have countless beautiful women. And the pothead will have all the weed he can smoke. Not surprisingly, the 3 men face their punishments happily. 80 years later, Satan returns to open each of their doors. The alcoholic had drunk all the booze and was incredibly sick from a hangover that never cured. He pleaded for repentance, swearing to never drink again. The sex addict had not aged at all and was being chased around the room by several unattractive old ladies. He begged Satan to let him go as he had surely learned his lesson. Finally, Satan opened the door to the pothead's room. To his surprise, none of the weed had been smoked. Sitting on the floor crying, the pothead slowly looked up at Satan and asked, "Dude, you got a lighter?" A woman is angry because her husband is late coming home again. So she writes him a note saying,
"I've had enough. I've left you. Don't bother coming after me."
Then she hides under the bed waiting to see his reaction. After a short while, the husband comes home. She can hear him in the kitchen before he comes into the bedroom. Then she sees him walk towards the dresser and pick up the note. After a few minutes, he writes something on it before picking up the phone and calling someone. "She's finally gone. Yeah, I know, about time. I'm coming to see you. Put on that sexy lingerie that I bought you. I love you too. Can't wait to see you." He hangs up, grabs his keys, and leaves. The wife hears the car drive off as she comes out from under the bed. Seething with rage and tears in her eyes, she grabs the note from the dresser to see what he wrote. "I can see your feet. We're out of bread. Be back in 5 minutes." A lawyer boarded an airplane in New Orleans with a box of frozen crabs and asked the stewardess to take care of them for him. The stewardess took the box and promised to put it in the crew's refrigerator. The lawyer advised her that he was holding her personally responsible for keeping the crabs frozen, mentioning in a very haughty manner that he was a lawyer, then proceeded to rant at her about what would happen if she let them thaw out. Needless to say, she was very annoyed by his behavior. Shortly before landing in New York, she used the intercom to announce to the entire cabin,
"Attention passengers, will you please raise your hand if you're the lawyer?" Who gave me the crabs in New Orleans?
A blonde walks into a novelty store. She sees a shiny container sitting on a shelf and asks the clerk what it is. The clerk says,
"It's a thermos. It keeps cold things cold and hot things hot."
The blonde is so impressed, she buys one. She can't wait to return to work so she can show off her new thermos to her coworkers. After arriving at work the next day, it's not long before one of her peers asks about her new shiny container. The blonde replies,
It's a thermos. It keeps cold things cold and hot things hot.
Her coworker asks, "Well, what do you have in it now?" The blonde says proudly,
A popsicle and 2 cups of coffee.
A man enters the patent office carrying some of his new designs. He approaches the clerk and says, "I'd like to register my new inventions." The clerk replies,
Sure, let's see what you have.
The man places the first item on the counter and says, "The first is a folding bottle,"
That's interesting,
says the clerk.
What do you call it?
"A fottle," replies the inventor.
A fottle?
Asks the clerk.
That's not a very descriptive name. Can't you think of something else?
"I'll think about it," replies the inventor. "I've got something else, though. It's a folding carton,"
And what do you call that?
asks the clerk. "A fartin," replies the inventor.
That's just rude. You can't possibly call it that.
"Well, I do have one other product," says the inventor, "but I doubt you're going to like the name of that product either."
What is that, sir?
asks the clerk. The inventor replies, "A folding bucket." Eleanor, the local gossip and self-appointed keeper of the church's morals, kept poking her nose into other people's business. Several members of the church did not approve of her extracurricular activities, but kept to themselves in fear of retribution. She made a mistake, however, when she accused a new member, George, of being an alcoholic after seeing his old pickup parked outside the town's only bar one afternoon. Eleanor emphatically told George and several others of the congregation that by seeing his car there, everyone would know exactly what he was doing. George, a man of few words, stared at her for a moment, then just turned and walked away. He didn't explain, defend, or deny. He said nothing. Later that evening, George quietly parked his pickup truck in front of Eleanor's house, leaving it there all night. A young man is walking through a supermarket when he notices an old lady following him around. Thinking nothing of it, he ignores her and continues shopping. As he gets to the checkout line, she moves in front of him.
Pardon me.
She says,
I'm sorry if my staring at you has made you feel uncomfortable. It's just that you look like my son who died recently.
"I'm very sorry," replies the young man. "Is there anything I can do for you?"
Yes.
She says.
As I'm leaving, can you say goodbye, Mother? It would make me feel much better.
"Sure," answers the young man. As the old woman is leaving, he calls out, "Goodbye, Mother." When he steps up to the checkout counter, he sees that his total is $625.50. "How can that be?" he asks. "I only purchased a few things." The clerk replies, "Your mother said you would pay for her." One day, a mother and her teen daughter arrive at the doctor's office. The doctor says, "Okay, what seems to be the problem?" The mother says,
It's my daughter Susie. She keeps getting these cravings. She's putting on weight, and she's sick most mornings.
The doctor gives Susie a good examination and then turns to the mother and says, "Well, I don't know how to tell you this, but Susie is pregnant. About 3 months would be my guess." The mother says,
Pregnant? She can't be. She has never been left alone with a man, have you, Susie?
Susie says,
No, Mom. I've never even kissed a man.
The doctor walks over to the window and just stares out of it. A few moments later, the mother says,
Is there something wrong out there, Doctor?
No, not really, the doctor replies. It's just that the last time something like this happened, a star appeared in the east and 3 wise men came over the hill. Late one night, a man is speeding down an empty road. A cop sees him go flying past, so he chases him and pulls him over. The cop goes up to the car, and when the man rolls down the window, he asks,
Are you aware of how fast you are going, sir?
The man replies,
Yes, I am. I'm trying to escape a robbery I got involved in.
The cop looks at him disbelievingly and asks him,
Were you the one being robbed, sir?
The man casually replies,
Oh no, I was the one who committed the robbery. I was escaping.
The cop is shocked and surprised that the man has admitted to this so freely. He says,
So you're telling me you were speeding and committed a robbery?
Oh yes,
replies the man calmly.
I have all the loot in the back.
The cop is now starting to get angry and says,
Sir, I'm afraid you have to come with me.
as he reaches into the window to take the car keys out of the ignition. The man shouts,
Don't do that! I'm afraid that you'll find the gun in my glove compartment.
At this, the cop pulls his hand out of the window and says,
Wait here.
as he returns to his car and calls for backup. Soon there are cars, cops, and helicopters everywhere. The man is quickly dragged out of his car, handcuffed, and taken towards a cop car. However, just before he is put in the car and taken away, a cop walks up to him and says,
Sir, this officer tells us that you had committed a robbery, had stolen loot in the trunk of your car, and had a loaded gun in your glove compartment. However, we didn't find any of these things in your car.
The man replies,
Yeah?
I bet that liar said I was speeding too! On the first day, God created the dog and said,
Sit all day by the door of your house and bark at anyone who comes in or walks past. For this, I will give you a lifespan of 20 years.
The dog said, That's a long time to be barking. How about only 10 years and I'll give you back the other 10? So God agreed. On the second day, God created the monkey and said,
Entertain people, do tricks, and make them laugh. For this, I'll give you a 20-year lifespan.
The monkey said, Monkey tricks for 20 years? That's a pretty long time to perform. How about I give you back 10 like the dog did? And God agreed. On the third day, God created the cow and said,
Go into the field with the farmer all day and suffer under the sun. Have calves and give milk to support the farmer's family. For this, I will give you a lifespan of 60 years.
The cow said,
That's kind of a tough life you want me to live for 60 years. How about 20 and I'll give you back the other 40?
And God agreed. On the fourth day, God created man and said,
Eat, sleep, play, marry, and enjoy your life. For this, I'll give you 20 years.
But the man said, Only 20 years? Could you possibly give me the 20, the 40 the cow gave back, the 10 the monkey gave back, and the 10 the dog gave back? That makes 80 years, okay?
Okay,
Said God.
but remember, you asked for it.
So, that is why our first 20 years we eat, sleep, play, and enjoy ourselves. For the next 40 years we slave to support our family. For the next 10 years we do monkey tricks to entertain the grandchildren. And for the last 10 years we sit on the front porch and bark at everyone.